Hello and welcome to the 3Bs podcast, where we go beyond the numbers and get into what actually makes a business work. I'm your host, Stephanie Marshall, founder of ABCS UK, a multi-award-winning boutique finance and systems partner. I help business owners who've outgrown the basics bring clarity, structure, and proper systems into their business so things finally feel in control. If you want more clarity, more confidence, and a business that doesn't feel like constant chaos, you're in the right place. Each week we tackle real problems, answer the questions you're probably already thinking, and give you practical steps you can actually use in around 15 minutes. So if you're ready to build a better business with confidence and clarity, then let's go. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the 3Bs podcast, your go-to place for around 15 minutes of motivation, education, and inspiration to help you build a better business each week. If we haven't met before, hi, my name is Stephanie Marshall. I'm the founder of ABCS UK, which is a multi-award-winning boutique finance and systems partner, and I help growing businesses who have outgrown their bookkeeper move from messy, reactive finances to clear, structured numbers and systems they can actually use to run their businesses properly, because I care about the people behind the business and not just the numbers. Now, today's episode is a little different. We're at episode 173. Now, I want to share 10 things that I'd never do again as a business owner. Now, before we start, this isn't one of those episodes where I pretend I've got everything figured out. Far from it. I'm in the messy middle with all of you. If you have not listened to the episode on the messy middle, this is your first episode of the 3Bs podcast. Do go back and watch or listen to that one, because I explain that I'm still learning, I'm still growing, and I'm still making mistakes. I'm human. Humans are fallible, as my therapist likes to say, and it's important to know that I am not perfect. But when you've been running a business for a number of years, and I'm almost at 5 years of ABCS UK, there are certain lessons that become non-negotiable. Things that if I somehow found myself back at day one tomorrow, I simply wouldn't repeat. We don't gatekeep around here at the 3Bs podcast. I like to share the good, the bad, and the ugly to help you build a better business. So whether you're in year 1 or year 10, hopefully this episode helps you avoid a few of the mistakes that have cost me time, energy, money, and sometimes sanity. So let's get into it. Lesson number 1 is probably one of the biggest lessons I've learned in business, and it's definitely something I've talked about on the podcast before. At the beginning, it feels easier to remember things, your processes, your client preferences, tasks, deadlines. You tell yourself you'll write it down later. Well, I hate to break it to you, but later never comes. Eventually, your business grows and suddenly your memory becomes the bottleneck in your business. I wish I'd documented systems much earlier, not kept everything in my head. Not because I enjoy writing processes necessarily, but because I enjoy consistency, and systems create that consistency that help you build a better business. Number 2 is I would never wait for things to be perfect. As a recovering people pleaser, as a recovering perfectionist, it's important that back in the day, there is so many courses, website designs, service ideas, marketing ideas that live in my notes in my phone, that live in my CRM, that never ever saw the light of day. There's websites I've built, there's branding I did back in the day, social media posts that I wrote and never published, service pages. The list really does go on. I spent far too much time tweaking things that clients never noticed. And the reality is, most business owners aren't suffering from a lack of perfection. They're suffering from a lack of action. Done is better than perfect is one of my biggest mottos. Now, I actually said it out in the wild the other day at the kids' school. I think I said something like, done is better than perfect at my kids' leaving assembly. And one of the other parents that was there too was like, yeah. And it's like the first time I'd ever heard that saying. And I think more of us need to know in our everyday lives, not just as business owners, that done is better than perfect, and just taking that small action is really important, particularly when perfect doesn't actually exist anyway. Number 3 is I'd never say yes to everyone. I think we all are guilty of that mistakes as business owners when we start out. At the beginning, every inquiry feels exciting. Every opportunity feels important. That event you need to go to, that speaking engagement you've been asked to do, the retreat you've been asked to go on, or residentials that are like thousands of pounds. Every client feels necessary. Even those red flag clients, again, if you've not heard the episode of the podcast, go back and listen to it. Maybe go back and refresh your memory about those red flag clients. Because at the beginning I said yes to everything, it was very easy to say yes when I should have been saying no. And the problem is, wrong clients don't just cost revenue, they cost energy, they take away your capacity, your focus, and sometimes your confidence. One of the best things I've learned is that saying no creates space for better opportunities. And if the right opportunity is there, it will come back around again. Most of these things are never once in a lifetime. Some of them are. I've had some incredible once in a lifetime opportunities that I've said yes to. I've had to say no to some incredible opportunities that I still got FOMO about to this day. But it's important to say no because something better usually comes around the corner. Done is better than perfect, going back to the last one, is a phrase that I live by. And another one I live by is this or something better. When anything goes wrong, if there's something I really want and I don't get, I really wanted to go to Harry Styles One Night Only in Manchester. I really wanted tickets to Louis Tomlinson's One Night Only at Banquet at Circuit in Kingston. And I tried for tickets and I didn't get them. And as disappointing as that is, living by that motto, it's this or something better. I got to experience 5 nights at Wembley with Harry this summer. I got to see Louis on tour across 4 different cities. I got to go to 2 of his album signings. So this or something better is definitely something you should drill into your brain. This or something better is something I live by now. And I think it really helps when you don't say yes to everything and maybe when something you do want doesn't necessarily go your way. Number 4, I'd never ignore my own advice. Now, this one might make you laugh because I was the queen of do as I say, not as I do. Sometimes business owners are brilliant at helping everyone else except themselves. I'm certainly guilty of it. My dad is a car mechanic, and growing up, our car, I remember very vividly, we had a red Vauxhall Corsa. I think it was N-Reg. And to get it through its MOT one year, my dad had literally welded the floor back together. There was holes in the floor. Now, as a mechanic, you would think that his car would be the best example of his work. No. Your stuff always gets left till last. It's very easy to see what other people should do and to tell them what other people should do, and it's much harder to take your own advice consistently. The businesses that I've seen improve the fastest are usually the ones where the owner actually implements what they already know, rather than telling other people what they should be doing and you're not doing it yourself. Number 5, I would never assume growth solves problems. Now, this is a big one because so many business owners think if I just get more clients, if I just grow a little bit more, if I just increase my revenue, everything will feel easier. In my experience, it won't. Growth often amplifies existing problems. If things aren't already efficient in your business, if you don't have system processes, things are not running smoothly, adding workload onto that is just going to make things harder and make the problems seem and look bigger. Poor systems become bigger problems. Poor communication becomes a bigger problem. I think poor communication is one of the biggest problems I see in 99% of businesses. You only have to think about how hard it is to get through to your doctors, to speak to your doctors. Doctors and different departments don't talk to each other. And poor visibility becomes a bigger problem. And I think visibility, not just in the sense of being on social media and seeing your business and advertising, visibility over your business, knowing what's actually going on, looking at your numbers. I know I'm a bookkeeper, I'm going to say that. But it's important. Growth is not a solution, structure is. Number 6. This one leads quite nicely. I'd never ignore my numbers. You knew this one was coming. I alluded to it slightly a second ago because I've seen what happens when business owners rely on their bank balance instead of proper visibility. The last few episodes of the 3Bs podcast have been all about not looking at your bank balance. Your bank balance doesn't tell you anything. You need context. You need the reports to understand what's going on in your business. I've seen businesses turning over 6 figures with no real understanding if they're even making any profit or not. I've seen tax bills create absolute panic when the VAT goes in and you're like, okay, your VAT bill is X, and they're like, I haven't got the money to pay that. I've seen cash flow problems appear out of nowhere. So businesses that are running really well, really fine, all of a sudden one customer stops paying an invoice. It's normally the biggest one. I don't know why, but it always ends up being the biggest one. Except they didn't actually appear out of nowhere because those warning signs were already there. Nobody was actually looking at it. The next one is I'd never leave difficult conversations too long. Whether that's a client issue, a pricing conversation, a team discussion, a boundary that needs setting or resetting if somebody's overstepping.
Most difficult conversations don't get easier with time. The longer you leave it, the longer you bury your head in the sand, the bigger they usually get, the more stressful that you are. I get it. As business owners that care, like I do, we don't want to have those difficult conversations. But one of the most valuable business skills you can develop is learning to have honest conversations early, before they become problems. And I think everyone will appreciate that coming earlier rather than when it's too late. Number 8 is I'd never treat rest as a reward. This one completely changed my business. For years, I treated rest like something I'd earned after I'd done enough. And the problem was there was always more to do. Always. As a business owner, there is always something else on the to-do list. My to-do list is never less than 20 items long. There's always something that needs to be done. That's being a business owner. But I started spending more time with my family. So in August, we closed ABCS UK office. We don't take on any new clients in August. And I spend the summer with my children because I think that's really important. That was why I started the business in the first place, so that I never had to miss a nativity. I never had to miss an assembly, and I could be there for them when they needed me. I spent more time on hobbies. I've been to more concerts this year than I have in the last 10, but only in July. And I think there's still another 6 or so in the diary so far. I'm sure there's probably more to come. I love live music. It's one of my favourite things in the world. And I've purposefully spent more time away from the business this year and more time with the family, taking more time off, not working 7 days a week, not working 70 hours a week, because something surprising happened. And when I did that and I looked at the business, I have my little CEO reset. Go back and listen to the episode if you've not heard it. I looked back and something surprising had happened is the business had actually improved because I improved. I became more productive in the hours I worked. There is a saying that if you give someone 10 hours to do a job, it will take them 10 hours. If you give them an hour, it will take them an hour. The level of output varies, absolutely, but the jobs get done. I made better decisions for the business and personally and felt far less overwhelmed. Rest isn't a reward, business owner. It's part of the strategy and it's something you have to have in your daily, weekly lives. Number 9, again, I'd never build a business around being busy. Busy is one of the most dangerous words in business because it sounds productive. I often hear people say, if you want something done, go and speak to a busy person because they will make it happen. It does sound productive, but it often isn't. I've had periods where I was incredibly busy and not moving forward at all. And I've had periods in business where I was calmer but making huge progress. The goal isn't to be busy. The goal is to be effective and efficient. That's not the same thing. And number 10, I'd never spend so much time proving myself. This is the one that I tell my younger self if I could. The one lesson that probably would have saved me the most stress in business. Stop trying to prove you are good enough. Be yourself and start charging like you already know you are. So many business owners, myself included, spent years waiting for permission. Permission to charge more. Permission to be visible. Permission to own their expertise. Permission to take up space. But nobody gives you that permission. You have to give it to yourself. I know I'm a very good bookkeeper. I know I'm a very good business owner. I know that I care more than any bookkeeper you will ever meet. I know that despite being one of the younger ones in my industry at 35, I've got nearly 2 decades of experience. I should be charging that way. I should have been charging that way from the beginning, not £10 an hour when I started out. The sooner you do that, the sooner you give yourself that permission, the easier business becomes. Now, what's interesting about all 10 of these lessons is that very few of them actually are about bookkeeping or tax or software or accounts. They're about decisions because business success is usually a collection of decisions repeated over time. Good decisions compound like interest in your bank, and bad decisions compound too. The challenge is recognizing which ones you're currently making and making sure that you're compounding the good decisions rather than those bad ones. 1 or 2 bad decisions is completely normal. We're all human. But being aware of what decisions you're making and aiming for that good decision is going to really help you build your business, which I presume you want to do by watching or listening to this podcast. Now, before we finish, I want to ask yourself, as with every episode of the 3Bs podcast, I like to give you one move this week, something small that you can implement almost immediately, and by next week's episode, you'll have seen a real positive difference in your business. So I want you to ask yourself one question this week. Which of these 10 do you most need to hear right now? Not 5 of them, not 3, not all 10, just one. What's the lesson out of these 10 that you've been resisting? The thing that you know needs attention. The conversation, the process, the boundary, the decision. Then commit to taking one action this week, just one. Because awareness is useful. Action is where the change happens. So often with this podcast, when I give multiple little nuggets like this, business owners try to do all 10 at once. Or try to do 4 or 5 at once, because all of them feel important. They're listening going, yep, that's me, yep, that's me, yep, that's me. What I'm saying to you is this week, do one. Just one. And then if you want to come back and listen to this episode again, then do another one. And then come back and do another one. Those gradual little steps will then compound. As we talk about all the time, it compounds. But I want you to just take one action this week. Because awareness is absolutely useful. Listening to this, watching this, going, yeah, that's me, yeah, I've done that. That's a good idea, is one thing. Action is where the change happens. If you really want to build a better business, which I presume you do by watching or listening to the 3Bs podcast, action is the most important. If there's one thing I've learned from running a business, it's that success rarely comes from knowing more. It comes from applying what you already know. And most business owners, like you, already know far more than you give yourself credit for. If this episode helped you think differently about your business, please let me know. Like, rate, review. It takes you a couple of seconds to press that 5-star button. It means the world to me. I genuinely do a little happy dance every single time I see a 5-star review, every single time I see a new subscriber on YouTube or on Spotify. It really does help more business owners too find this podcast and start running their businesses properly too. If you have somebody in your network, another business owner you know that needs to hear these 10 lessons, send them this episode, send them the link, give them a help. We don't gatekeep around here. We share the wealth. We build better businesses together. And if you'd like support bringing more clarity, structure and confidence into your business, that's exactly what we do at ABCS UK. The link is in the show notes to book a 15-minute call in my diary. Obviously, it's closed until September, so I would love to speak with you in September so we can help you build a better business, because your business deserves better. And I'll see you next week for the next episode. Bye.
And that brings us to the end of another episode of the 3Bs podcast. If this has helped you think differently about your business, then it's done its job. Make sure you're following or subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. And if you found it useful, please do leave a review. It helps more business owners find this and start running their businesses properly. If you want more insights behind the scenes and the reality of what it actually takes to build a better business, come and connect with me on social media. And if you're ready to stop guessing and start running your business with clarity, structure and confidence, your next step is just a click away, because your business deserves better. I'll see you in the next episode.